had just finished working in my loft in New York, and one of my proteges had just brought a band back from Brazil. And so I went with some of my assistants in the middle of the night to hear this band. And we went and sat down, and they started to play. It was really wonderful. Then all of a sudden, this huge basket appeared, flat, huge basket, with thousands of tiny bells trimming it on the outside. And somebody from behind all this kit of enormous percussive instrument peeped up with this big thing. You didn't see his head, and he started shaking it. And the more he shook it, the more the music began to go insane. It just worked. He created not an effect, but a whole environment. It was a thrilling experience, and I never forgot it. So the next day, someone would call him and say, would you like to work on some kind of project I was working on at the time? And of course, he was delighted, and we got to know each other. Memories of Cyril and our artistic and musical friendship, and the assistance that I could give in so many ways, which I was delighted to do. They're just beautiful. He's a great artist, there's no question of that. And there's no question that he understands not the effect of what he does, but the structural element of how all those sounds are put together. It's just amazing. And he deserves the accolades and the wonderful Grammys and the crossovers to so many styles that he. But another thrilling day is a Christmas day where a big cart came into our living room, and it was filled with percussive instruments, and we improvised on this harpsichord suite that Handel had written. And I played, and we had this great conversation, the two of us musically, between that Baroque period and all these instruments that he had brought. We spent the day doing that. It was the best Christmas gift I could think of. It really was amazing. The most important thing for me was to learn how to share with him information that to keep the structure going. It got at times so that he would reinvent itself too soon. The listening of that was a learning experience for him and for me, you know. And the indirect direction that I could add to that knowledge he has, and that instinct and that enormous gift for what the core of what music, how music is doled out. And it isn't even just rhythm. It's environment. It's harmonic. It's got every element that's dealing with it and putting it together all at once and creating something that I guess you would call style. The style of what's in front of me. I guess that's why I know that's why his career is so varied. It's just, you know, to be able to go from Paul Simon to Sting to Yo-Yo Ma to, you know, that's an amazing feat of authenticity. The way he honors that in it by enlarging it or seeing his perspective on it in a most honest way. Extraordinary man. The guidance that I can give and his sharing with me his experiences have also made us two artists that work together and agree, you know, when something is very real.
Tell me about Paul Bogave, when he first came in, what you experienced.
I remember him coming to my loft in New York and spreading the score out and really showing him various orchestral parts and how one has to really pay attention how something is put together, and the beauty and excitement from him of the wonder of what was on the printed page. It was really a very, very rewarding experience. excellent musician and an inspired one, very inspired. And we became connected through great art, you know. We really were, there was something beautiful going on between the two of us and the music, you know.
And what was it he was missing when he came to you?
Nothing was missing. It just had his perception and the clarity of putting things together just needed to be redefined for him. It felt like it was rather boxed in, you know, where he was sitting with a lot of things. And it was just a matter of putting them together in a new order that he seemed to relate to, you know. But, very rewarding experience. And, really a first-class musician, one of the best, okay? Yeah. It's a pleasure having known him and to know him. Yeah.
What about Ian?
Ian started off with me, and we walked in the doorway of my home. It's another house I owned, and this little person stood between his mother and father, and he just emanated a kind of energy that seemed like everything was there. You know, you could feel who he was. You know, he had a great smile, shy, and he understood. He just understood what was happening. He was young, very young, and I went there and really allowing him to explore many things before the slow pace of disciplining him into a fine craftsman, really able to really perceive what music is about. And he really had his own way of going about and putting things together. And I never tampered with that. It seemed a very distinctive style that belonged to him. And I was very grateful that I could see that for him, you know. Not to mold him in some kind of image that you're supposed to do everything right for the sake of getting it right, but for the sake of getting it clearly accurate, but not for the sake of, you know, destroying his love of what he was doing, you know.
And that was the same for Jed too, right? Jed just got the beginning. He didn't even get into the discipline of it. You were just cultivating.
That's right. Yeah.
What he was about.
Yeah. Jed had he was very shy, but he had a lot of energy in his movement, body movement. And there was always the feeling I got that I had to understand or feel what the person was that was in front of me. And whether his highest form of expression would be in music, you know. And Jed definitely read out that way. He didn't want to sit and really do anything that was in order, but he was interested in everything. And I made a real point of exposing him to so many styles before I ever really got into making things more specific as to what each thing meant and how to execute it. I remember taking him to concerts with me. I remember him sitting in an audience, and as part of my audiences, I could spot him out, you know, in 10th row, playing at concerts, and he felt good. He felt like he was in the music with me, you know.
We were talking about the kids now and how they're all so different, and we look for a lot of different things in choosing them, but really they're all brilliant in their own way. That it's such a brilliant room, and it's in ways that people don't always see right away.
Yeah. Well, I've been fortunate to have a long life, and the priorities change, and things seem very important are still very important, but the order has changed for me. And coming from a heritage of all that diversity from professional musicians in my family has been such a blessing in getting down to what's important for a gifted young person. You know, what is the most important thing that is right. And so I've devised a series of small little exercises when I audition. Some of them work and some of them don't, you know. And they seem to really, you know, they seem to show a real sensitivity. After all, you know, talent, for me, talent is the ability of the intensity of one's sensitivity. It really, for me, it spells out that way. And it's not a broad term of being prolific. It's something it's the way people perceive things in terms of their sensitivity and the intensity of it, you know. And that leads to a lot of information that can come in. And you have to be ready with a young person to vary it, you know. Viva la difference, you know. You got to be really know an awful lot of music. And I'm grateful for the library I've collected over the years. It ended up after a summer of cataloging that we have 8,000 pieces of music that are sitting in my living room in a huge bin that used to house seed for farmers. So we made shelves and drawers for all that marvelous music. And that's all, it's all in the way I hear things. It's this kaleidoscope of many things, you know, that surface themselves for each person I work with, and what's necessary for them at the given time that they're ready to receive it, you know.
What kind of things surfaced for Leslie? What came up for you?
Leslie was trained at Harvard, and she was extraordinary in the sense she didn't have a tight, rigid way of looking at music, but she was extremely precocious about it. And I mean precocious in the sense that she couldn't break through to act out a lot of what she knew, you know. So her first time with me was inventing her ways to free all that information and make it pragmatic for her to use for her abilities. And she's an immensely gifted woman. I mean, immensely. That she has a way of hearing harmonic structure and melodic rhythm and melodic. I mean, I can't. Goes into it. It just it's really fine. And we made a great record together, a great children's record, with all original material. And a first-class trombone player. Yeah, too, besides being a pianist and composer and arranger, you know, she writes good songs. Yeah.
And she got you,
Yeah.
right? She got what the environment was about.
Oh, yeah. It was right for her. It was right, it was the right time, it was right for her.
What about Jessie?
Here's someone who has a phenomenal grasp of every frigging style you can think of musically and can actually actuate it. And it's a matter of just giving him more equipment to access all of that he already has. I'm talking about he can really do it, even perceive it, or understand it, but he can actually do it on a very high physical and spiritual and sensitive level, you know. And a very fine pianist, very fine arranger, music director, you know, composer, you know. And he lives in a space that really demands recognition. And I'm thrilled to be there to help him stay on mark and help him be very elegant about what he has.
Do you think the way he was going before he met you would have taken him where he needs to be?
But with all humility, I don't think so. No. Oh, Christ. What a question.
No, I just, with all the work he does, you know, and with how he lives it, really more than anyone, basically we've had that I've known.
He works at it, man.
All the time.
Yeah,
Like it's no problem.
4 hours, 5 hours, and he turns around and he says, God, I did all of that. And I thought, you didn't bend your wrist. I'm about to fall over. My legs are...
Okay, last one. Ron,
Wow.
who's like the heart of it all, right?
Yeah. My heart is with him. My God. We really did work on bringing a new aesthetic for him as a drummer. I mean, really. And being able to integrate many, many ways of accessing rhythm through compositional skills, through orchestral skills, through, you know, songwriting, through being one of the best drummers commercially in the business, you know, for very fine artists and a very fine band. Rock band I was producing at the time, and but his piano playing was just seemed like to be like an afterthought, and that just blossomed into something that was quite extraordinary. It just took off, you know. And he's an artist in every sense of the word. There's no question of that. He's an artist because he knows what something, when something is complete. Something is really complete. That's about it for me.
All right, I'll let you stop.
That's it.
Okay, thank you.